Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today as I present my thesis research titled Breaking Barriers, Understanding and Removing Barriers to OER Use. My name is Brandon Carson and I'm a Learning Technologies Specialist and part-time professor at Durham College in Oshawa, Ontario, a part-time professor at Fanshawe College in London, Ontario, and an associate researcher in the Ontario Tech University EI Lab in Oshawa, Ontario. My research focused on the institutional barriers to the use of OER and lived solutions to overcome those barriers. To provide a little more background on myself, I have worked in the Ontario higher education system for the past 12 years, within several different types of roles that involve teaching and supporting faculty. I also just recently finished a 14-month secondment at eCampus Ontario, which is a government-funded, not-for-profit consortium. eCampus Ontario supports the 45 publicly funded institutions in Ontario with technology-enabled learning. The content that will be covered in today's presentation includes an introduction and background to my thesis topic, the research questions, theoretical framework and methods used in the study, the findings from the research, and finally the reflection, recommendations, and next steps. Following the presentation of my research, please feel free to join me on Twitter for a question and answer period. When I started my studies in the Master of Arts in Learning Technology program at Royal Roads University 2 years ago, I became interested in open educational resources. OER is a term defined by UNESCO as teaching, learning, and research materials in any medium, digital or otherwise, that reside in the public domain or have been released under an open license that permits no-cost access, use, adaptation, and redistribution by others with no or limited restrictions. Open licensing is built within the existing framework of intellectual property rights as defined by relevant international conventions and respects the authorship of the work. Throughout the MALAT program, I had the opportunity to learn about the many benefits of OER, such as cost savings, accessibility, quality, adaptability, and many more. From this new knowledge, I became interested in building a stronger understanding of why more faculty were not using OER. At the same time, my experience in the first year of the MALAT program prepared me to be the successful candidate for a position at eCampus Ontario, which would specifically focus on OER adoptions and creations at a provincial level for business programs in Ontario. With part of my new role involving encouraging faculty to adopt OER, I wanted to gain an understanding of why or what barriers faculty may face when switching to OER, and if there were known solutions to overcome those barriers. If I could provide a solution to the barriers faculty face, I can increase adoptions to the resources we were creating. Upon reviewing the literature of the barriers that faculty face to using OER, I was able to find information that pertained to US and other Canadian provinces, but nothing specific to the Ontario college system. Common themes that emerged in regard to barriers to using OER were funding and sustainability of OER, awareness and knowledge of OER, time and skills required to using or adapting OER, and support for incorporating OER into the faculty members' teaching practice. Due to my role at eCampus Ontario at the time, and limited data representing the college system in the province of Ontario, I saw this topic as an excellent choice for the thesis stream of the MALAT program and formed the following research questions. In what ways might barriers to OER use experienced by Ontario College business faculty be identified and addressed? What are the current barriers identified by faculty members to using OER? And what strategies do faculty report as solutions to help them address the barriers to using OER? The theoretical framework that guided my research is the diffusion of innovation theory. Rogers defines DOI as being used to explain how an idea gains momentum, is communicated through channels, and diffuses through a specific social system over a period of time. Diffusion occurs through a 5-step innovative decision process, where an individual seeks information to discover the advantages and disadvantages of an innovation. The 5 steps of the decision-making process are knowledge, persuasion, decision, implementation, and confirmation, which you can see outlined in the diagram on this slide. Rogers does not view all adopters under the same classification. He created categories with specific percentages tied to the groups, which were titled innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. As OER has been discussed in an innovative, as OER has been discussed as an innovation in the field of academia, diffusion of innovation seemed like a suitable fit for my research. A mixed methods approach was used to collect the data for my research. An invitation to participate in a 21-question survey with open-ended and closed-ended questions was sent to 12 out of the 24 colleges in Ontario to distribute to their business faculty, with the opportunity to participate in an online 30-minute interview being offered as an option at the end of the survey. Additionally, 8 posts were made through the LinkedIn and Twitter platforms, encouraging Ontario College business faculty to participate in the survey. Only 12 out of the 24 colleges participated in the survey due to the length of time it took to receive REB approval at all the colleges. Some institutions had a streamlined approach, while others involved several different levels of approval. Due to the timeline provided to complete the thesis research, a cutoff date was selected for data to be included in this research. In total, 72 faculty completed the online survey, and 9 faculty participated in the interviews, expanding on their personal experiences with OER. It is unknown how many faculty members received the survey due to each institution having their own unique process for sending the invitation out to faculty. As part of the questionnaire, faculty were asked several questions, including but not limited to the institutions they teach at, how long they've been teaching within the higher education system, specific subject areas that the faculty member teach in, their role in selecting teaching resources for the courses they teach, if they were aware of OER, if they were using OER in their teaching practices, what prompted their use of OER, which type of OER were being used, did they find the quality of the OER to be worse, better, or equal to publisher resources? Does their institution promote the use of OER? What institutional supports are available at the institutions for assisting with open educational resources? What barriers they face with using OER? And strategies that they can use to overcome those barriers. The faculty demographic was quite diverse in several different ways. The responding institutions ranged from small to large colleges in Ontario and provided a mixture of full-time, part-time, partial load, and sessional faculty. Part-time faculty teach between 1 to 6 hours. Partial load faculty teach over 6 and up to 12 hours and are in the faculty union. And sessional faculty teach over 12 hours. Both new and experienced faculty members responded to the survey, varying in ages from 20 to 29 up to the 70 to 79 category. Conestoga College, Durham College, and Fanshawe College provided the largest response rate, with Conestoga having 37.5% of the responses and Durham College and Fanshawe both having 12.5%. One thing to note is I was not working at Fanshawe at this time. These institutions represented the mid to large size colleges in the province of Ontario. Most participants stated they knew what OER were. However, only 43% had ever used OER in their teaching before. A wide variety of OER types had been used, from a single image all the way to an open textbook. Many themes emerged as the data was analyzed. Faculty revealed that they were introduced to OER in a variety of ways: formal education, training through the Teaching and Learning Center, eCampus Ontario initiatives, and discussion with peers were a few of the ways faculty mentioned they were first introduced to OER. A few of the reasons they chose to use OER included the value of the content, cost savings to students, a predetermined requirement based on their course outline, and students not buying the required paid textbooks for the class. Who selects the resources for a course varied by course and institution. In 35% of the cases, the person filling out the survey had say in the resources used in the course, but others highlighted a course lead, multiple faculty members working together to determine, program coordinators, and a mixture of administration and faculty members collaborating in order to select the resources. Faculty responded that teaching and learning centers, libraries, peers, associate deans, and chairs are the primary individuals and departments that encourage the use of OER within their institution. While this research did not come as a surprise to me, the low numbers that selected vice presidents of academic and presidents from their predetermined checklist was a shock. Only 3.47% of the responses signified the VPA encourages OER use, and 0.69% signified that their president encourages OER use. This stat shows that OER use is not taking a top-down approach. It aligns with my stat that I discovered that only 4 of the 24 colleges list OER in their business, strategic, or academic plans. In regard to support for using OER, the Teaching and Learning Center and Library had a combined total of 63%. 19% came back with fellow faculty members providing support, and close to 10% were unsure of the supports that they had available at their institution. Additionally, 3% also stated they were not aware of any OER supports on their campus. Faculty were able to highlight several barriers to using OER, which were broken down into themes from the coded data. Many faculty highlighted no suitable resources for their courses being available, the amount of time it takes to start using OER, such as integrating into their course or finding suitable resources. Faculty feel that they do not have support in place to shift to OER, and they may not have enough information or awareness of OER to adopt OER into their teaching practices. In regard to no suitable resources being offered for the subject the faculty is teaching, I looked at this from 2 different views. There could be no suitable resources, but this high number could also be due to faculty not knowing where to find suitable OER, or having the supports at their institution to find the suitable OER. Although faculty highlighted many barriers, they also were able to provide solutions that they believe could overcome the barriers that they have faced. Faculty discussed many different ways barriers to using OER could be overcome. Some of the most common strategies consisted of improving education and training on the topic of OER, strategically creating OER that are of high quality and include ancillary resources, providing time and awareness to OER, and allowing for collaboration and networking at both an institutional and provincial level. The research aimed to identify the barriers that faculty face adopting OER into their teaching practices, and strategies that could be used to overcome the barriers to using OER. Through this study, I was able to see the lived experiences of 72 Ontario College business faculty and the barriers that they have faced with using OER. Faculty experience many different types of barriers in finding suitable OER. The barriers could pertain to the skill to search for OER, or there not being OER available for the faculty to use in their specific subject area. With a larger percentage of OER being developed in America, an additional barrier is ensuring it meets the needs of a Canadian or Ontario-based student. In some instances, the subject will require information specific to the country or province that the student is in. In order to break the previous barriers mentioned through the study, I suggest the following recommendations. Recommendation 1. Ensure faculty are aware and trained on OER. This could be done through regular communication to faculty, as well as training through service departments on campus, such as the Teaching and Learning Center or the college library. Recommendation 2. Support the creation of high-quality OER. Support could be offered through providing release time to faculty to work on OER creation or payment through contracts. When creating OER, faculty could be provided with support through experienced instructional designers and e-learning developers. Recommendation 3. Administrative encouragement and support to use OER. Deans, VPAs, and other institutional leadership should encourage faculty to use OER over paid textbooks when possible, and ensure support systems are in place for faculty to use OER. Data should be tracked to show the impact OER use is having on students and employees. Recommendation 4. Include OER in institutional planning documents. Set measurable goals on the use of OER at your institution within the college strategic plan, business plan, or academic plan. And recommendation 5. Create a collaborative network. Several institutions offer similar programs and courses, but we tend to work in silos as we create our courses. Having a shared network where faculty can collaborate with professors at other institutions would allow for continuous improvements to OER, including ancillary resources, and allow us to share our knowledge throughout the system as a whole. The next steps I plan on taking after finalizing my thesis are sharing the results with institutional leadership, such as business deans and vice presidents of academic at the 24 Ontario colleges, and using the knowledge I gained throughout this research project to create a similar study that focuses on all Ontario college and university faculty, not just Ontario College business faculty. While working through the RIB process with individual institutions, several business deans said they were excited for the findings. I'm going to try and attempt to present the data in a variety of different ways, including a video, interactive web page, and an executive summary, which all would link to the published thesis and the open data that will be available with this thesis. Thank you very much for those that have attended my session or are watching this at a later date. Please feel free to direct any questions to my Twitter @BrandonCarsonED or via email at brandon.carson@durhamcollege.ca. I look forward to connecting with you, and thank you once again for watching this presentation.